would have liked to have heard that are showing up now. That's why I'm mentioning it. And yeah, it's always cool to watch the recording, guys. Okay, yeah, we'll just wait a little long. Anybody have fun things to share? Or maybe we can meet Neil now, Yogita.
I'll call him just a second.
Excellent. Yeah, we had a special treat in a tech time chat. We got to meet Neil, so he's coming now.
Neil? इकडे एक मिनिट.
Yeah, I almost feel like, Kim, I can't start until Hugo shows up. That would be an example.
Okay.
Because I know he'll come.
Wow.
Hey, Hugo.
Oh,
There he is.
good evening, Dad. Hey.
Hi, Neil.
Hi, Leah.
Hi.
Neil, they're saying hi.
Kim.
Thanks for coming to say hi to us, Neil. Hi, Neil. Thanks for saying hi to us.
Hello.
OMG, so cute.
Thank you. Done? You want to say something? No? Yeah.
You
Yeah,
are
this is my
aspiring data
science group.
scientist.
He doesn't know any other sciences than data science. He doesn't know what biology, physics, chemistry is. He only knows data science.
I don't know if I should applaud that or not, but that's awesome. I'm trying to talk my babies into coming around, but my youngest baby's about to turn 17, so I don't really have babies anymore. I think they're revolting on me. Oh, here's hey, come close to my head. This is my baby. This is my youngest.
Oh.
Yeah, this is Jojo.
Jojo.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, we probably should get started, Kim. This is a good group.
All right. So today, guys, I am going to be moderating. So welcome to the Integrated ML AI mentoring session, where, as we all know, that our goal is that we do more together and we achieve more together. So with the idea that we can all learn from each other, we have a very special presentation today that Yogita is going to give, where a little while back, I don't know if all of you recall this, there was a moment when on the Slack channel, Yogita had reached out and was saying that she felt overwhelmed. And so she's going to share with us our story and where she went from before, what was leading up to being overwhelmed, and what happened when she got overwhelmed and how she dealt with it, and give us some advice on what we can do going forward. So Yogita, take it away. You have to unmute.
Hi, everybody. I have been part of this family since April. Just give you my background. I have been in IT industry for almost 10 years. Most of my experience was in capital market domains. I led multiple teams that handled risk for brokers in trading application, and we created smart algos for trading applications. Then I took a short break to be with my kids. Meanwhile, I traveled from India to US, and this short break turned out to become a 7 years break. And now that my younger one is ready to get back to school, I thought I'll get back to my career. So all pumped up with enthusiasm and desperate to get back to my career, I enrolled into a PG course from University of Austin in data science. Then I also joined a Power BI course from Udemy, then a Tableau course, then a statistics course, a Python course from JetBrains. So I was just trying to fill my 7 years gap in 7 months, which is such an unrealistic goal, and it's unachievable. But I was keen to make it happen. So I was working like crazy hours from 9 o'clock in the night to 2:30 or 3:30. Jonathan has met me a couple of times. And I was opening multiple applications. A Power BI application is open, a Tableau application is open, Then I'm going through my video lectures from my university, and I'm searching for multiple resources. So basically, I was juggling into all these of courses and trying to catch up and be good at all of them at once. And during the daytime, I would like, whenever I had time, I would get on LinkedIn, read articles, read what all of people are doing, and or go through Kaggle notebooks, explore what other people are doing. I was so obsessed with my learning that I couldn't take breaks. Every time I took a break to do something else, I felt guilty. Like, this is not what I should be doing. I should be studying on my courses. I have enrolled in so many of them. That's where I have to focus. This went well for some time, but as you can see, this is a recipe for disaster. And I had to fail at some point of time. It went good for 3 months. I completed my Power BI course. I completed my Tableau course. It was basic courses, which I completed. I was getting good grades in my university. But slowly, I was getting all a bit tired. But I was not ready to accept it. I kept moving on. And in March, there was this Microsoft Ignite Data Analyst Challenge. I again got all geared up. No, I have to get into this challenge. I want to see what I can do. I completed that challenge. I got a free voucher to do a certification in DA 100. That's the Microsoft Data Analyst certification. So I was like, oh, and they have this deadline. We are supposed to complete the certification by June. So I'm like, I will go for the certification. Again, an unrealistic goal. Again, an unachievable goal. Because usually people who are already working in Power BI for 1 or 2 years, they go for the certification. And I, with all my basic Power BI thing, I'm like, I want to do this. So I started practicing Power BI. And top of that, I got into Titanic data set, which we were working on Kaggle. I'm like, this is such an interesting thing. I want to do this. I got an assignment from my university. It was my first machine learning algorithm, which was in linear regression. So I'm like, I want to do this also. So it was like Power BI, linear regression, logistic regression, Titanic, all going together. And I had this constant to-do list going on in my head. Oh, I have to do this in Titanic. Oh, I have to make this dashboard in Power BI. Finally, it all started getting to me. I started getting tired. I started getting all those brain fogs. And I reached a saturation point where I was like, no, I am not ready to give this certification in June. I'll be fool if I give this certification in June and fail it. I'd rather not do it. But I'm really too ambitious person who can't let go of things. And it was hard on me. Like, how can I not do this? Everybody is doing something else. Somebody is making YouTube videos. Somebody is posting on LinkedIn, writing blogs. How are all of these people managing so many stuff? And I'm not able to do that. I got all overwhelmed. I'm like, maybe it's only me who is going through all this. People are handling it so well. And finally, I decided, like, that's it. I can't take it anymore. I need to talk to somebody. I need to understand people's experiences. How are they going through all this? So I reached on Slack and posted that big message. I also posted it in the Women's in Tech, a Facebook group. And after that, I'm like, what are other people doing? How is this possible? There is so much to learn. There are so many algorithms, so many libraries, so many different projects to work on. How are people managing? And I'm like, no, there is something wrong with me. There is something wrong. There is seriously something wrong, and I have to do something about it. After posting it on Slack, I received a lot of feedback from people saying, no, this is normal. You are not alone. people tend to get overwhelmed with all this data science stuff. I just then relaxed. I took a break. I'm like, no, I'm not doing anything for next 2 days. I'm just going to think over, because if everybody is facing it, I also have to come up with some solution to work this thing out. So like I took my first break since January, and I didn't take any break till April. So it was like 4 continuous months. I was going on and on and on and on. Finally in April, I took some break. I did some meditation, relaxed, spent a lot of time with my kids. We went out, and then I was like, no, now let's get back. Now let's try some different approach. This learning method is not working, clearly not working. It went well for 3 months, but I just don't want to do it for 3 months. I have to do it for continuously. I can't stop it. So I decided I am just going to concentrate on one thing at a time, one concept at a time, rather than trying to juggle between multiple tasks, multiple courses. I had my learning path from my university. I was like, I will stick to it. I will break down things into chunks. I will start working in chunks. Like, at least I will finish that part. I will be happy with that. I will have confidence that I know this. For example, if I'm working on linear regression, I will only concentrate on linear regression. I will read only that much math which I need for linear regression. I'm not going to read everything, all the other math concepts, all statistics concepts. No, that is going to take a lot of time, and I'll get lost. So it's better I'll concentrate on what I'm doing now. Linear regression, math, slope, line. Okay, that's it. Then the assumptions of linear regression. Then what all parameters are associated with linear regression. Then I took a data set. I worked on that from end to end, from EAD till the model building. And I was like, yeah, that's it. This is what I need to do. At least I'm sure like I know linear regression, rather than like I know everything in bits and pieces. Now I'm sure like, okay, this one algorithm done. Next, logistic regression done. So I have created that kind of list for myself, and I'm ticking all the boxes like, yeah, I've done this. Okay, next. So basically, and other things, I'm letting go of things. I'm getting a bit less ambitious and a bit less obsessed with my learning, because that's the right way to go. Instead of focusing on quantity, it is better to focus on quality. That was all my experience. And my 5 key takeaways from this, or 5 best top advices to anyone who is starting data science now, is that set realistic expectations. Don't be like me. Set small, achievable goals. Celebrate your win. Focus on one thing rather than juggling into multiple things. What is the most important thing for you to do right now? Do that. Next would be, don't be so hard on yourself. Data science is vast. It is going to take us time to explore, but we will learn as we go. Rather than learning everything now and moving on, it is better we learn as we go. Take one day at a time. Focus on one thing. We are not here to play a 2020 match. We are here for a test match. So we need to build that endurance, save that energy so that we can last long. Other advice would be, there are no perfect solutions. There is no perfect code. There is no perfect model. If you run behind like, I need to achieve a high accuracy on my model, and you keep on working on it and keep on tuning it, you will leave behind. That's what happened to me. I was working on my assignment from my college, and I was like, I need to get high accuracy. I need to perfect this Python code. I went on, and finally I was awake till 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just submitted my project 5 hours before the deadline. I had already done that project. It was done 1 week back, but I was like, I want to make it perfect. I'll change this. This is redundant. I will remove this. I'll change it into function. All those kinds of things I was busy doing, but I should have just let it go. Yeah, I am done. I should have submitted it, but no, it was difficult. But I'm learning to do that now. The other advice would be reach out to people, guys. Don't waste your time and energy to figure it out on your own. If you are stuck somewhere, ask for help. Reach out to us in family. If you're stuck in some Python code, ask for help. If you are not understanding concept, ask. It is better to sound dumb rather than to pretend that you know everything and then keep figuring it out on your own. It is okay. We are allowed to be dumb at this stage. We are learning, and we'll get better as we go ahead. And like a low accuracy model or a imperfect solution doesn't define who we are. It doesn't mean that we'll never become a good data scientist. It just means that we are learning and we are improving. And next would be believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Everybody has a different journey. And as Tom always tells, be an athlete. Don't compete with others. Compete with yourself. And we are learning, we are getting better from what we were yesterday. That's all it matters. That matters. I didn't know anything about machine learning 1 month back, but now I know it. So yeah, I'm getting there. I'll slowly get there. And last, but I will like to conclude with an advice which Curtis gave us last week. Focus on skills. Don't focus on job. If you're good enough, if you're good on your skills, job will come along. That's it. I hope this experience you will learn from my experience. And if any one of you is overwhelmed and not able to figure out, you can reach me on Slack. That's it. Thank you, Tom, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience. And thank you, Kim, for helping me tell my story.
That was a fantastic story. Thank you, Yogita, for sharing that with everyone. We have a number of questions coming up, and I noticed, Samantha, that you had a question. Did you take it down? Was your question answered? Samantha?
So Kimberly, remember our plan though. Just before the questions, I'm just going to jump in and say something real quick.
Okay, right. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yogita, thank you. You only spoke, if you've been following the comments, you only spoke to what everyone on the planet feels. Everyone. They just don't always say it, or maybe they don't care as deeply as you. I don't know what, but Yogita, all I can tell you is I've made so many mistakes. I've lost track of how many mistakes I've made in the way I've gone about things, the wrong perspectives I had about learning and growing and dealing with other people. I just had to keep caring and learning. And you were doing that, and you're on a great path. I hope you guys don't get tired of this illustration. I hope to do this someday. The longest hikable path in the world is from the tip of South Africa to the east northern coast of Russia. It's 14,000 miles. It would take a normal person about 3.5 years to hike the whole way. It would be beautiful. It would be amazing. But you can't jump from mile 0 to mile 100 in one day, right? It's going to take time to get there. So, but it can be beautiful. And, sometimes you're focused on each step because you're going up a steep, rocky terrain. But if you stop and look back and look around, you see something beautiful. And I think that's what everybody's kind of trying to say loosely. It's okay, Yogita, to stop and rest. You don't have to learn this stuff overnight. And from my perspective, Yogita, watching you with the Kaggle team, you're learning very rapidly. You're doing very well. And it's really great to master those basics because they're probably the things that are going to serve you the best. But I just wanted to thank you for being brave enough to voice what we're all dealing with. And I think it's great for the family to stop and say, how can we help each other with this? Now, Kim, if it's okay, just to be extra careful because it's Mother's Day in France, we'd like to have the pre-soup time philosophical corner happen now rather than toward the end of the hour, if that's okay with you, Kim.
That's fine. I think we can take questions and things right afterwards. That's fine.
Dennis, we are, of course, hinting at you talking, but you were muted. There, go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brother Dennis.
Yeah. So of course, I'll make it simple. If you want to learn, you have to go through a distance. Like, let's say you're here at point 0, and then you go down your negative, and then you have to go back to positive. Then you make an effort. So Yogita, that's what you did. You were there, and then you sunk like a submarine. And then once you were at the bottom, well, then you made an effort to figure it all out and come back. So I've been in this for a pretty long time. And sometimes I have developers, we drive around in a car, and I remember one saying, Dennis, I'm never going to make it. And I said, so he said, what's an expert? I said, an expert is a person who made all the mistakes. This is literal. This is not philosophy. If you don't make a mistake, you can't learn. You don't think. People that don't make, if someone gives you food, you just eat it. But if someone gives you bad food, you notice it. So we only notice something that's not normal, and then we work on it. I would say that's the first thing, is learning is only learning through error, and an expert is someone who made all the mistakes. And a typical example for me is, if you give me a new language, development language, the first thing I like to do is just try to solve a problem without reading anything, just opening the software and making 100 mistakes, looking around how it works and all that. And by the time I find the solution, well, I know the whole software. So that was the first thing. The number of errors is what makes an expert. Now, this comes with a price, because that's what you said too at one point. You said focus on this and don't focus. So at one time you were in the submarine and you made it out. The thing is, being an expert is proportional to that number of errors. So there's so much a human being can take. So the more you can take, the higher you'll get. But if you try to take too much, you'll have a burnout. So you have to stop at one point. You just have to say, well, that's it. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to be Brad Pitt, I'm just going to be a father or something. So the problem is, an expert is someone's going to suffer. It's pain. It's a lot of pain, because these mistakes you make are painful because you feel stupid. So learning is feeling stupid, dumb, making mistakes. I don't know. I think everyone thinks I'm smart. I think I'm very stupid because I'm very impatient. So if I don't understand something immediately, I think I'm an idiot. So most of the time, I think I'm an idiot. And after a few decades, I found out, in fact, that I was an idiot, because we've only been separated. This is my favorite topic. We've only been separated from chimpanzees for 6 million years. So basically, we're just chimpanzees with laptops, and we're doing pretty well, because we managed to get this Zoom conversation. We're not killing each other. Okay, so I'd say first, the number of errors is strictly proportional to the level you reach. And if you don't make any, you'll go nowhere. But then there's a limit of what you can take, the pain. It's just like Marines training or Army training. Some people say, well, I'm not going to be a Marine. This is too tough. So there's that. And then the third thing is the center of gravity. My main thing is the center of gravity. Like when we say pre-soup time, this makes everyone smile, but that is my core concept, is I'm not going to lose my center of gravity. I'm going to eat my soup at 7:15, and the whole world can fall apart. I'm going to eat my soup. So I have a center of gravity where I can't go in burnout. It's like a kill switch. People just say, I watch developers. So I've watched a lot of developers. I've watched many, and I'm saying, what are you developing? I can't stop now. So I say, it's 5 o'clock. I want to go home. You say, yeah, but I have to finish. Well, didn't you notice you've been looking at your screen for 1 hour? You just did one line. I'm sure you go to bed, sleep tomorrow morning and do it in 10 minutes. So in fact, you reach a curve where if you try too much, you won't get anywhere. And that means in one day or in life. So you have to find your center of gravity. And I'd rather be a night guard than be a burnout at Google, you know. I don't care. I don't want to be someone working 90 hours a day and not 90 hours a week and go home and find no family, or just a burnout, or take drugs, or take painkillers to take. I'd rather be a night guard. In fact, I'd rather even sweep, you know, an office. Sweep an office 7 or 8 hours a day, go home, watch TV, especially in France, because we get free social security no matter what we do. That's something I have to tell you. In this country, you can be homeless and you get the same social security as a top football player. That's something you don't get in the United States, which is the reason I can say I can go sweeping, because I'll get the same social advantages as anybody. Free Medicare. I can send my children to university for practically free. And so I don't have to worry. So what I'm saying is, if you sum it up, it's errors. The more you make, the more you learn. The less you make, the less you learn. But there's a price. You can't make yourself suffer too much. And the people that go to the top are either people that can take a lot of pain, you know, or they're sociopaths like Elon Musk, who has a mental disease, so he doesn't really know, you know, what's going on. He just thinks, or Bill Gates. I don't know if you know, but Bill Gates had psychological problems too when he started out, because I knew friends that knew him in his office, and he was, you know, he was like this for an hour in the meeting room, going up and down. So I say either you're a Superman or you're a sociopath. And if you're not, well, then you risk a burnout. And never forget your center of gravity. I mean, as long as you're close to your family and you get all that warm energy, you can take all that. You can take all of that. And don't be afraid to be dumb, because we're all dumb. There's no such thing as a smart human. Otherwise, we wouldn't have wars. You know, you ever think of that? We wouldn't have wars anymore. We wouldn't have inequality to the degree we have. We wouldn't have violence. So basically, we're dumb. But this is what I really think. And I think that some people are just a less dumber. So they say, oh, he's intelligent. And then someone's just a little more less dumber, and you say he's a genius. But in fact, what would happen if what would happen if we say geniuses are just, they're the norm. They're just the intelligent people. Where does that put us? Think of that.
Dennis, can I have your
are normal, and then we're just monkeys trying to survive. Well, basically, that's my pre-soup philosophy.
Can I have your permission to read our short exchange over our private Slack?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, you guys will love this. I just said, let's see, where's the good starting point? Dennis responds to me about telling him what we're going to do this Saturday. Every human being is overwhelmed, frightened, and worried, except for the sociopaths. Well, that's what we intend to show our family members this Saturday. I just said, as we get older, some of us realize this is simply the way it is, and we chill about it a bit. When I and especially you admit to the same, I'm sure it will help them all. And he said, also, we agreed to make pre-soup time with Dennis a standard point on Saturdays. But he said, I'm glad you have chilled. I haven't chilled a bit yet. Living on a little piece of rock in the middle of nowhere that rotates at 20,000 plus kilometers per hour can overheat at any moment without knowing when I'm going to be fired or how I was hired, and not knowing the exact job description to the end is terrifying. When this is projected into our role on the market, it gets worse. The only way it is to move forward, hoping that we won't get shot down by a terrorist, a criminal, an accident, a disease, or worse. Apart from that, life is perfectly reasonable on this little rock. And I just said, well put, Brother Dennis.
Yeah, but I really think that. I just, we could have I could have a cardiac arrest right here talking. I mean, we're nothing. I mean, who thinks he's something? I mean, I admire people that think they're something. I mean, it's beautiful. They know something. We don't know anything. You can pile up all the knowledge you want. It's obsolete 2 months or 3 months after. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point that you're raising, is that I think many people agree that we don't know so much, but I think that a lot of people wouldn't be as willing to be as vulnerable. I think we've all been sort of socially trained not to appear vulnerable. And so I think it's great that Yogita was able to overcome that and to share with us. And if it's okay with you, Tom, I think now might be a good time to go to questions. Yeah. Okay, so Jonathan and Manpreet, you have questions. I don't know who was first. I'm sorry. I know that you two were up before Ngozi, but maybe you can just take off your mute for whoever had. Yeah, Jonathan, go ahead.
I was giving it to Manpreet.
Thank you. Well, I had something to say to Yogita, that you are an awesome data scientist, first because you learned from your own data and you improved upon it. And that's what a data scientist does. Secondly, Geo taught us to remember hashtag I am remarkable. So maybe helps you to keep motivated on your small wins, that hashtag I am remarkable because I achieved this. We all this, and I've also been through a phase when I joined the company, I was like, oh, I have to learn these tools, have to learn this, I don't know anything. And I was doing so much that I didn't realize that it was actually I'm not learning anything useful. Then I took a break for a month and I learned and made my plans, and that's how it helps. Just no question, just wanted to say this.
Thank you, Manpreet.
Okay, thanks very much, Manpreet. It's great to actually hear someone like you who's doing so well. I think for many in the family to know that you went through this as well, which is fantastic. Not that you went through it, but I think everybody has this. We've all been through this in one form or another. And to be able to, as Manpreet said, use your own data and see where you're falling and be able to pick yourself back up, that is a data scientist. And it applies to many, many things. So with that, Jonathan.
First of all, thank you for sharing. Yeah, and definitely agree. We've all been there at some point, or some of us are there and don't know how to come out of it, or know how to reorganize ourselves, or study plans, or etc. How to reorganize and go back. So that's really good that you was able to see where you were. And that actually be able to reorganize everything and then take that next step to take where you want to be, to that next small goal that leads to your end goal. And yeah, quite rightly, I remember I actually have it open now when you mentioned that you're up so late doing your study. And I remember a conversation that we had in Slack, and you mentioned some bits about your project and your learning, and I was quite surprised, being like 9 o'clock a.m. my time, and you're still online. And I also mentioned to you there, take the rest, because it's definitely needed, and it's during that rest that we get to reflect and soak in what we've actually learned. Sometimes you're so busy behind the screen, having your screen time, you're busy with your exercises, and it's not until we actually step away that we actually start to reflect that what we've learned or what we've been processing. So definitely keep up that break period. And also, I'm probably been a little bit guilty of trying to learn too much recently as well. So I've done something that I said, oh, well, I don't need it, but I've resubscribed to a computer game. So I'm now rewarding myself with playing the computer game. So I'm having that little reward for myself. So after I've had my education lessons, or I've been practicing or been learning something new, I can take that step away and switch off and reward myself in a different way. So self rewarding yourself, and also take your learning times, take it in around 25 minutes and have a 10-minute break. Keep learning times to a minimum, so you give yourself time to understand the concepts that you have learned. So yeah, really happy that you brought this up, because we're all been there at some point, or still are. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, that what he's talking about is called the Pomodoro Technique. And for people who are feeling overwhelmed, it's a great method to break down your learnings into 20-25-minute segments so that you don't get overwhelmed. And it's Pomodoro, Pomodoro. It's in the chat. Okay.
Just a question, Kimberly.
Sure.
Won't it break the momentum?
Oh no, I don't mean right now. Oh, no, you mean
no.
In terms of coding and stuff?
No, like if I'm reading something or I'm coding something and I'm all on it, I'm like, now 25 minutes I've done, I need to take a break.
It depends on your learning style, I think. I think it's really if you feel like you're overwhelmed, or you feel that you're not actually learning something. So for example, if you're doing your readings, maybe after you've done the readings and before you do the problem set, you take a 5-minute break, you take a 10-minute break, you look away, and then you go to the problem set. You know, there's this idea that we have two different ways of thinking. There's active thinking and diffuse thinking. And so when you're concentrated, you are focused and you're learning very intently. But then if you're doing this all the time, it takes twice as much energy to think at that level. And so what helps is if you put, like, let's say you have a math problem and you can't figure it out, you put it in your pocket, you go for a walk. After a while, when you've had time for diffuse thinking, which is the thinking that goes on in the back of your head, you can solve that problem much more easily because you're not stuck. And so it's a great way to get unstuck. If you are learning something that's complex, or you can't solve something, you can try and break it up into segments, not necessarily 25 minutes, but statistically they have found that 20 to 25 minutes works really well. And then giving yourself a little incentive, as Jonathan was saying with the video game, you can give yourself a cup of tea, a walk, or something, anything that you get pleasure with. It's a way of saying, hey, I just did this and I achieved this in this amount of time, so that you acknowledge what your learnings are. And it also builds confidence. Okay, so now we're going to go to Ngozi.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My time here. Can you all hear me, please? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Sorry, I've been away for a bit. I needed to take a break myself. But Yogita, what you spoke about, as everyone has said, resonates a lot. And specifically, I've put it in the chat. There is something about how women get into this a lot. Because when you say you're working from 9 to 2, you're doing uni. I saw you how, you know, if you've got a family, then there are other times you're, you know, doing what you do as a mom, if you've got children, for instance. And what happens is that I've seen it. I'm sorry, this is one work I've done with a lot of returnee women who have taken a break and come back to tech. You sort of cram everything, you want to achieve everything. But in doing that, you put in a lot more than 24 hours into 24 hours, because you're a caregiver, you're looking at, and then the break we're talking about in between your work is not it's not that break you take to go and make dinner. You know, it's a break where you actually take a break to refresh. And I'm only saying this again because even though you've scaled back, there is always that push at the, you know, you might find yourself inadvertently getting again into this. So it's really good for you to police your time very well, because if you look at your days, you find that you are busy every single moment that you're not sleeping. And if then the hours you're sleeping is really short, then that means you are really stretching yourself. I'm happy you've come to the realization of the things you did wrong, but I think you really do need to watch out, because there is always that urge to be perfect. And sorry guys, I'm talking to the women in this group, because it's something I've seen women do a lot. And I have coached a lot of women who, especially those who have taken a break and are returning, there's always that pressure to sort of catch up so quickly and then excel and show you're competent. You know, there's that drive, self-inflicted drive to show yourself as competent. And it's specifically about how a lot of women work that leads to this sort of thing. Congratulations, Yogita. Wonderful
Thank
share,
you.
totally relatable. Happy to chat with you outside this chat, because there are many ways, you know, many things you need to police about this around this time to make sure you get the very best of, you know, your learning and your career going forward. But yeah, great share. Thank you.
Thank you, Ngozi. That's a great question and great feedback. It's very true, actually. But okay, so now we're going to go to Amy and then Magdi and then Ugo.
All right. Thank you so much, Yogita, for sharing that story. I think the things that you shared, you know, so many people can relate to that. I'm a college student at the University of Nebraska. And I am studying something that is really, really different from data science. And I can't change it right now, but I have to finish my college, but I actually want to be a data scientist. And so that means that I'm being pulled in so many different directions, just like you were. And so when you're trying to learn two different things at the same time, you end up really juggling so many things. And it can be really, really difficult to kind of know how to focus. And so my question to you is, you know, when you're trying to get into data science, there's a lot of resources online that you can use. There's so many platforms that you can get some courses from. There's so many resources out there that you can use. But how were you able to narrow it down to be able to know, well, I need to start from here and go to this? Like, how were you able to make that that curriculum for yourself?
Actually, I'm doing a course from University of Austin. So I already have a curriculum and I'm focusing on that. But I really like the resources which Jason Brown shares on machinelearningmastery.com. Those are like, he has a curriculum, he has like, these are basics of machine learning somebody should know. Then these are some advanced topics. So there is like he has defined it very well, like what you need to do next. Because before joining the course, I was like, what should I start? Where should I do? What should I read? But if you go through his site, you will get all these things. You know, he has addressed it very well. If you check his site, there are topics, and he has like 7 days mini courses on each of the topics. And those are free. If you sign up, you will get all the lessons one by one. So what I was doing, what you can do is like on every lesson he signs, you can go deep on that particular topic. Then he sends like 7 lessons on a particular topic, like for data cleaning. Then you'll have data preparation, encoding, dummy variables, everything he covers that. So if you're learning by yourself, I think so that's the best resource. Or you can go to 365 Data Science. They also have some good courses, which I liked.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Magdi?
Yeah, thank you again, Yogita. It was really nice, not only because we can all relate. I mean, this topic is ageless in terms that it affects all of us. And it can be that it doesn't affect at the beginning, but on the way. And it doesn't matter how expertise you are in the field. Some point you have the same question. I mean, we all, that what is wrong with me? Why others can achieve? Why cannot I achieve? So you question yourself. So the self-doubt comes in. And I really like that you first of all, identify that there is an issue you have to face, and you search for the options, and you find your options. I mean, it is a tailor-made something you find yourself, and it works. So you could take you could put it in a practice, basically and it gives some kind of guidelines for you. So I think it is an awesome job on all sides. And I was just thinking, okay, what else can we do about not being overwhelming? And what is always coming up for me, that we have to learn to say no. And I'm not talking about only to say no to others. I'm also talking about to say to ourselves,
Yeah.
to our own curiosity and our own interest, because that kills us, basically. Because then you meet, when you start to learn in this field, in this domain, you find so many interesting information, so many interesting people to follow, so many interesting possibilities which are free, like courses, webinars, sessions, talk show, everywhere. So after a while, I also felt that, oh my God, I have only 24 hours and I want to do something else than this. Although I want to pick up as much knowledge as I would like to. And then I realized that I'm blocking the whole process because I don't say no. So the next thing, what I realized, and I try to keep as the motto for me, that you have to be still to move on. And this sounds like a paradox, but I think that is also a kind of a trick, that you have to stop and stay still for the moment, let's say moment, and think about, okay, where I am, what are my targets, where I'm going to, and am I on the right track, or I'm taking a detour and sidetrack, which is fine, but is it worth to do time-wise, or did I lose the focus, for example, in the same time, because maybe that particular field is not really for me, or Power BI is not for me. I like much more Python or whatever you can think of. This is not the case, by the way. Well, I would go for Python. But anyway, I think it is very important to learn these things, that sometimes you obviously you have to have a physical break as well, but also a mental break to think, and also think about, okay, what was the original idea, and is it still the idea I want to pursue? Or because you got distracted, these are all distractions, this whole bunch of information and meeting people, and it is so nice, so you feel fine, but after a while, because you are in the action, you are on the dance floor, you just lost in the middle of the actions, and then you have to step back, go to the balcony and look down on the dance floor. Okay, what's going on? Yeah, there are thousands of people doing this and this, but what is my role on the dance floor? And then you can climb down and you can continue dancing. That's it. And
Magdi, that's such a great metaphor. And it goes directly to what Jonathan had just sent in the text to you, which is really when you feel like you're looking at all of these things, that the one thing that is the most powerful thing that you can do, as Jonathan said, is to just do it. Do the programming, make the mistakes, learn from the mistakes, because all of those guidelines, all of those classes are always going to be there for you. But you're never going to actually learn it until you do it and you make the mistake and you've been through it. So that's a great point, Magdi. It's very true. There's so much available, but really it's the doing that teaches more than anything.
You have to overcome, because at the beginning it is really overwhelming that you say, I'm not there, I cannot do it, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the experience, so I'm just keep on watching, as Jonathan said. But at some point you have to overcome this burden and say, if I don't start it, then how should I practice? And obviously you can get inspiration from others when you see that, oh, they made such a nice Python coding something, or a project or something that gives the power to start with yourself. So you have to overcome on your limitations, basically, as well, I would say.
Yeah,
That's-
just like to quickly interject something there as well. And is actually, I forgot to mention, want to say also thank you to Yogita and Nisha is, I'm not sure if she's on, but while we're doing this Kaggle chat, this Kaggle competition, it's forcing us to look at each other and ourselves, and it's giving that accountability partner in our own learnings as well. So that's also something I forgot, is the thank you there for collaborating on that.
Okay, now I just need to say, because we are at that special time for Dennis, that his soup time is coming in 5 minutes. So Dennis, if you wanted to have a last word or say goodbye in any way before you go ask his question, please do so.
Yeah, I would just like to say something before I go off to my center of gravity. Is how can I say that? There's something missing. Is I come from a theoretical background at the beginning, and there's something maybe I could show you in another session. I was back in the 80s writing theory and pure theory. I was just base research. And there's something missing in the education of artificial intelligence, and that it's somewhere close to what we call optimal transport. This is really theoretical math. And what I had is one equation, one single equation that can encompass practically all the algorithms I have in artificial intelligence by example. I mean, one line of equation, and just by changing one or two variables, I can decline every single algorithm, which means that I can recite my book here in less than a minute. If someone asks me chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can tell them what's in it and where it is, because it's just a very basic equation. And then of course, it's a three-part equation. In fact, it started in the 18th century, then it went up to the 19th, and then finished with in 2010 with a French mathematician. But one day I can show you a PowerPoint like that. There's just one equation, and with that one equation, you can remember all the algorithms. It's just because there's also shortcuts to learn. You're using a lot of energy, but I don't use any energy. So people wonder why I can read a paper like a comic strip, because I have my equation in my mind. So I'm just plugging the variables I see in the paper in it, and I say, oh, okay, that's it. So if that's it, goodbye. So I can extract that. So maybe in another session, I have a PowerPoint on that. So I could show it to you, and then you'd have a trick. Well, it's not a trick, it's the real intellectual theoretical representation of what AI is, and where it starts and where you don't need it. So once you have that in your mind, well, then it's a huge time saver, because you can read something in 5 minutes, or someone say, this is the algorithm. You say, yeah, sure. I'm just going to take my equation out. Yeah, plug it here, there. I'm done. So I didn't invent anything. This is theoretical math. And it's not explained in books. I don't explain it because it's too complicated in a book. So I might do it in another book. I'm writing something else, but I decided not to speak it. It needs to be shown and discussed. It can't be written. It's oral tradition. So now I'm going to go to my soup time, because the whole family's up there. And I'll be around if I can be of any help. And Yogita, you went from submarine level to ship level, so you have a lot more to say. You didn't say everything you had to say, because you went from submarine ship level to surface as a mother. And that's not something many women succeed in doing, is just getting out of the game and coming back in the game. We can't do that. I couldn't do it. Only you can do it. It takes a mother to do that. I'd be a night guard. If I'd done that, I had to stop 10 years. I'd just be a night guard and read books, novels all night. So thanks a lot to everyone, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah.
Enjoy your soup.
Okay, have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Dennis. Thank you.
Okay, Ugo, I'm sorry for the long wait. Thank you for being patient.
Problem. Dennis, if you're still there, is the soup per chance ratatouille?
or just onion soup? Okay, great. So basically for me, can you hear me, Kim? Great, great. Okay, so Yogita's story is totally, totally relatable. As in, when she was saying, I was just like, this is me, this is me, this is me. So I was a bit surprised when I looked at the chat, and all I could see is we are Yogita, we are all Yogita. I'm like, oh, okay, so so we are not alone. But this is how I dealt with my own overwhelm, because how I started, I started working many years ago, about 17 or so years, almost 20 years now. And I had always had interest in consulting. And if you know about consulting a lot, consulting, especially when you are consulting for not a boutique consulting firm that, just, okay, we do this. The kind of consulting firm I started working with did practically everything. So, we touched finance, we touched HR, and I observed the trajectory why the stuff was, engineered the way it was, because I started as a finance person. My first degree was in accounting, and when I got my first degree, I loved finance and I started working as a finance person. But then I noticed that in my journey in financial consulting, a lot of financial results were dependent on processes. Like, processes drive business, processes create value. So processes generate cost and all that. So you can't really just start arranging the business from the finance. You have to now go back a bit on the value chain to processes. So now try to understand, okay, what are the processes that are even driving this financial cost? So from trying to now understand processes, I ventured into Lean Six Sigma, ventured into a lot of all those other process stuff like that. And then I began to study and stuff like that. So from there, you now discover that, oh, there's a lot you need to know about processes. And then from understanding Lean Six Sigma, now I ran into someone who was practicing and who showed me that, hey, you see this thing you do with Lean Six Sigma, you can automate it. You can. So I started learning about, he showed me about robotic process automation, showed me machine learning, AI and all that. I'm like, oh, really? You can do this. So I got interested in that. And, like that, every time I got interested, the new requirements that I needed to work automatically changed. So here was I, and I was running a PhD, because there was a job that we bid for, and then we had gotten to the final stage. This job was the consulting project was going to change everybody's life. So I've gotten to the final stage, and we're like the last 3 companies left. And so they singled out my own firm, and we're like, I'm sorry, we're going to disqualify you guys at this point. I'm like, why? Why are you going to disqualify us? And they said, well, whoever is going to lead this project, that was me, was supposed to have a PhD, and you don't have a PhD. I'm like, oh no, So I had to register for a PhD quickly so I don't miss those kind of opportunities, because there were a lot, So doing a PhD, doing this now, learning every new thing that is required for work, it's crazy, crazy. The overwhelm was real. Now add coronavirus lockdown, so I had to, do all that with the kids, and but one of the things that helped me was early in life, I read this book, Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So he said stuff like, you need to have yourself a rich dad and stuff. So early in life, I had always made up my mind that I was going to have a dad figure in everything I did. So I started from my consultant, dad, and there was something my consultant dad always told me, and that was about 10 years ago. So he told me, he said, whenever you meet somebody who is willing to share his experiences, or who is willing to teach you what they know, what they have done is that they have taken their lifetime of mistakes, their lifetime of learning, their lifetime of everything that they have tried to do with their life, and they have just added it to yours free of charge. So learning and hearing that, I just knew that, okay, hey, so whenever I ran into a problem in consulting, I did not bother to start looking for okay, I want to read up this book to learn it. I want to know. I just pick my phone and I call my consultant that then I'm like, that I have a problem here. And from the blues, I just share, because there's sometimes the problems you face are so unique that no author has written about it in the line or in the line of thoughts with the way you're encountering the problem. So the way I just relate the problem to me just tells me, okay, this is what you should do. I encountered this problem so and so time, and this is what I did, this is what I did. It just saves me so much time. So yes, I still maintain I have a crazy itinerary. I have subscription to Pact, to LinkedIn Learning, Pluralsight, DataCamp, all of them. I have all of them, but I don't joke with all the dads that I have in all the industries that I'm in. So that was why the moment I had the opportunity and I met Tom, and I was like, sir, can you be my dad? Like, yes, yes, yes. So anytime I run into, and I've been having a lot of exchanges, and that has been a blessing. Like anytime I run into stuff, I don't need to wait until I can see it in a book or I can see it in stuff. I just ring Tom at once, like that. I'm having this issue. What do you think about this? It saves me time. And that's how I really deal with most of the overwhelm that I have. Because if you try to figure it out alone without a support system, it could really, really wreck you. But with a support system, I mean, do very well. So that's my experience. Thank you.
That's great, Hugo. Yes, and it reiterates what Yogita was saying, that when you need help, reach out, because there's always someone there that can help you. And I think you need to write a book, Hugo, on how to adopt a dad. We could all learn from it. But
I think I'll do that.
I think, sorry if I can just jump in. There's something Hugo has just said that is really, really is something we need to tap into. So while Yogita says when you need help, reach out. But it's really important to cultivate these relationships, like Hugo has latched on to finding dads, because those people, you just have them by your side all the time. Because when you have a problem, that's not the time you start cultivating the relationship. It's too late. Nobody owes you, because if you post a message, to the universe, nobody owes you a response. People may respond, but they don't owe you a response. But by investing in cultivating relationships ahead of any problem, ahead of any challenges, you have got a ready-made squad you can reach out to. And you go, well done. I'm not a man, so I can't be anybody's dad, but any mom needed, I'm here.
Thank you, Ngozi. That's great. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so before we go to Kalyan, I do want to respond to one of the chat questions. Kevin asked a very good question. And he said, can you share your experience where you made a mistake that had a larger impact than you intended? And how did you remedy it? And Kevin, I can tell you one of my own experiences, which was really awful at the time. We were working on a consulting gig where we were projecting out the size of the student loan market. And it was at a time where the costs for college were going at a certain clip. And we had this huge spreadsheet, many different sheets, and we had to estimate and predict what the market was going to be and what their future potential was. And I got one of the values wrong. And I basically messed up the entire prediction because I had an interest rate that was wrong for what I thought was going to be the amount that the student loans were going to be fixed at. And the client caught it. And it was awful because you're right in the middle of the presentation and the client is just like, well, wait a minute, where did you get that interest rate? And so then all of a sudden I had to not only correct the conversation during the presentation, but I also had to admit that I was wrong. And I had to say, we're going to go back and change that. And I had to then follow up. So in terms of how I dealt with the mistake, and it's something that I think that everybody can learn from, own it. Own it, own it. Don't try and cover it up. Don't try and lie about it. Don't try and turn it into something else or like make an excuse for it. Just own your mistakes. And then once you've owned the mistake, take responsibility for fixing it and follow through. So you go back to your data, you look at the data, you look where the mistake was, you profusely apologize, you correct the data, you resend out all of the information that you found. And then you say, okay, so this is where we were at. And in the situation with the presentation, because you don't have time to go back and check the data, you move on to the conclusions, and you determine if the data would change the overall conclusions. And if it does change the overall conclusions, you have to own up to that and say, we have to meet again at a different time, because this is going to affect what I'm saying to you. Luckily, it didn't affect what we were saying and the whole picture of things. It was only one little component, but you have to be able to think on your feet that way. Like how much damage did I just create? And how do I troubleshoot that damage? And then move on from there. If anyone else would like to share their experiences of how you made a mistake that had a bigger impact than you thought it was going to have and how you corrected it, I think everybody would probably gain from that. And then we'll go to you, Kalyan. I'm sorry.
I would like to share. I don't work for businesses. I work for myself right now. So when I was working on this Titanic data set, I got all my graphs wrong. I got all my ratios wrong. The graphs which I made, I was like, yeah. And the insights which I got from the graph, those were also wrong. But when I started like, okay, this is the ratios between who survived the Titanic, men and women, the numbers were wrong. The analysis was correct, like women survived. But it was like 70% women survived, 30% women survived. What I was doing was, instead of taking the number of women and the ratio who survived, I was taking the complete data set. And then I was like, okay, these are the women. And that was some kind of mistake which I was doing. And I had nicely concluded with all bold letters. Yeah, this is happening. This is the ratio and all. And like after 1 week, when I got back to that notebook again and I started looking into my analysis, I'm like, no, these all are wrong. I picked the Jonathan. I'm like, don't refer my graphs. All my insights are wrong. I'm redoing it. And then I'll post my latest solutions there.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to share?
I can go. Yes, this can go see again. So I work as a consultant mainly to, okay, let me restrict the story. So when I work for the health service in the UK, so there was a particular period I was in charge of all performance of different hospitals, and one of the business managers who he sort of sources for business for hospitals. He just called me up one evening and asked me to give him a report around how long patients stayed in the inpatient facilities on admission. And I did this report and I gave it to him. The mistake I made was I didn't ask why he needed the report. It was very late in the evening. I was tired, I normally started work a bit late, and then because at that time I had younger children, so I would start at 10 and close around 6, sometimes a little later, because I prefer to work when it's quiet, then I get a lot done. So he called me maybe around 7:38, and I did the report, just quickly put something together. I didn't do the due process. That's the process I had set up myself to say, when somebody needs any report, they have to tell us exactly why, what conditions, and all of that. I did this report and sent to him. And I didn't think anything about it. And then a few weeks later, I was called into a meeting. And everybody's looking very stern, a board meeting. And I got in there and they said, oh, is this your report? And I looked at the slide. I said, yeah. They said, well, so are you saying we should close down these hospitals? And I'm going, what? Why? They said, well, from the report I made, apparently, the hospitals were underutilized, grossly underutilized. And actually, before I was called in, luckily for everybody concerned, patients and all, my manager was in the meeting and she was arguing that couldn't be my report. Because he wouldn't do that. She wouldn't send that report. That's not true. Let's call her and validate. So when I came in, I looked at it, I said, well, that's my report, but it's not about utilization. It's not your capacity report. That's not what it says. So evidently, the manager had sort of filled in, told a story with the data, but told the wrong story with the data, and hinged it on what I gave in the report. And I wrote an article about it and said when I nearly closed down hospitals, a lot of hospitals. But that the mistake was that, well, I owned up. I told them, well, it was a phone call. He knows, I know that if he was doing trying to do this kind of work, he shouldn't request for a report like that over a phone. I didn't give him the caveats of the report. There was nothing. It was just data I just shipped across in Excel and just sent it to him. There was nothing fancy about it. And I said, well, if you really, I had to sort of say, well, I gave you this report, but it's not for this reason. So you've taken it out of context. But it was a huge lesson because I had set up these processes and I hadn't followed it. And I had to say, well, yeah, I didn't follow the process I set up. Yes. I just thought it was, every other thing I said was sort of an addendum because at the end of the day, I slipped up by not following the due process. And if not that someone wanted to check with me, they would have gone ahead and taken a resolution to close down those hospitals. And that would have been such a bad thing. But yeah, sometimes, it doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes it does make sense to stick to the agreed processes for things. Yeah.
Thank you, Ngozi. That's a great story. And I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm sure it was great learnings. And so now, it's interesting that all of the women have been volunteering. Any guys have any lessons that they've learned that they'd like to share?
The wife's always right.
So I also think that we need to know how many moms we can have access to as a house. So yeah, Kim.
Well, you at least have a guy in the queue waiting to talk, right?
Yes, we do. We have Kalyan who's very patiently waiting for his question. Go ahead, Kalyan.
Yeah, thank you, Kimberly. So Yogita, so I can totally relate your story to mine personally because I'm a self-taught data scientist. If you asked me 4 years ago, to be honest, I didn't know anything about coding, not even anything about technology, because I'm not a technical background guy. I'm completely commerce and finance guy. I spend most of my work as I see in fintech industry where working on a business process and working on investment banking, buying something on trading side, and most of my work was exclusively doing some sort of data analysis stuff into only with limited to Excel. But I was doing pretty well in my job and all that, but somehow I was totally I was feeling a little bit low that sometimes I was not happy that I thought I can do something more beyond the spreadsheets. So then there I started googling so how can I do better. I mean, how can I and maybe I can improve or I can grow better than working at my stuff with Excel. So then I got to know about this data science and artificial intelligence. Trust me, I literally did a googling of 3 months by exploring this stuff, the curriculum, the terminology, everything. At the time, it was truly overwhelming because when you go and type in Google about data science or artificial intelligence, you will see a huge list of resources, floating away, tons of pages. If you keep on moving from pages to pages, you will see tons of resources. I was totally scared when I look at the particular syllabus because it really made me scary that first thing, I'm not a technical background guy. Will I be really able to do all this stuff? That was the biggest question for me. And I also personally approached a couple of institutes where I just want to listen the demo how they teach. I literally went for demos of different institutes. They literally given a demo starting from the life cycle of Excel to the end of the artificial intelligence subject line. It's like I mean, like, it's like a telephone directory for me when I listen to all the stuff, because it's that's again the biggest, scariest thing for me. And but somehow I was fascinated that a lot of things which we can automate with this stuff. This is what my bottom line was something that a lot of things with these technologies we can automate, and we can build a lot of interesting stuff. This is the one thing which I understood by these technologies. Then at time, then I started figuring out to learn on my own, because what I realized is a lot of resources are available on internet. Okay, let me try to explore resources. I tried to explore so many resources at a time. You trust me, I was referring Python in one YouTube channel, and parallel I was referring Tableau in some other channel. I keep on referring multiple YouTube channels at the same time. That was again a biggest scariest part, because at the end I didn't made anything in my learning progress. That's how I literally wasted almost like 6 to 8 months of my time by doing all these wrong steps. Then I realized that I have to take it step by step, because this is like an ocean. So you cannot swim in an ocean like how you do in a swimming pool. So, and I really try to understand the things in generic analogies. Because data science, if you compare data science, you can also compare data science in your realistic life, in your day-to-day activities. This is what I learned through my mistakes. Then I made my structured plan how to start a data science. So I slowly started doing a programming. Whenever I used to see traceback error, I was literally get scared. Initially, even when I used to see the IDs of coding IDs, that scared
Yes,
me, because
I know those.
because everything was quite new for me, because I never saw all the stuff. When I used to work in industries, I used to get some release notes from technology engineering people. I literally get scared, because I didn't even read a single line of that particular release notes, because
Yeah.
everything was quite scary for me. But when I started doing things, making a lot of mistakes, that's how I learned. One thing I personally suggest you is, the more you make a mistake, the more you learn fast. Keep doing so many mistakes in your data science, or the more you make mistakes, that's the practice in easy way to sustain and gain knowledge in data science. And the best part is you need to know a very good Googling skills. Trust me, if you are good at Googling skills and try to find the solutions, you are almost equivalent to a PhD researcher. That is one of the things which I learned through my experience. And that's how I started learning after doing 9 months of a curriculum, and I figured out what all I need to learn for my job. So I just picked only those skills. Today I'm a data scientist and analytic manager. I never did a deep learning model, but still I'm a data scientist. It's not that you, if you are a data scientist, you mean to say that you should not build the ANN or artificial intelligence or else NLP models. Even you can build a models. I today I build a models. I do a data analysis in Excel, and I also present that to insights to my stakeholders. It depends upon the problem statement how you have to take it. Every problem will not related to a machine learning or coding. Sometimes even in simple brainstorming sessions will also makes to get a solution. You don't need to do a lot of machine learning or a lot of artificial intelligence techniques behind to solve those problems. So that's how I slowly started building. And the best part of getting a job for me in a data science is the domain knowledge which I worked previously, the finance sector knowledge. That was the biggest plus for me. But you trust me, I'm completely currently not working into a fintech sector. I'm completely into a marketing field now. I'm my data science job where I build a models on marketing and sales. And the most important thing where a lot of aspirants don't understand is they simply go with the titles. Data science has really different titles and different roles. You need to figure out which title or which job suits you. For example, if you are very good at visualization, that's a very strongest skill for you. You can explore a data visualization. That is also a data science job. Or else if you are very good at understanding math, very solid understanding at math, you want to dig more into behind the algorithm, then you can be a very good machine learning engineer or deep learning engineer, even an AI researcher as well. or if you are bringing a good data analysis and you are very good at strong database skills, then you can also explore a data analyst. Every role has a different unique qualities and different unique stuff required. So it's not that the only when people most of the aspirants, when they want to learn about data science, they only blindly target the title called data scientist always. They simply companies also have a different titles for different roles. Not there is also titles called analyst, but still they do a data scientist job in their experiences. So what I suggest is, as you already almost you are all as Dennis also mentioned, from you almost reached to a certain level now. So try to stick to your plan. Again, a lot of frustrations will definitely come. There were days where I was not able to sleep properly because of all these things hitting me very hardly in my mind, because how I learn deep learning, how I learn machine learning. There is so much mathematics behind this. Trust me, I'm very honest in speaking my things. I am a failure in mathematics in my academics. I really get scared of mathematics when I was doing my academics. I failed my mathematics in 10th class. I cleared in my supplementary exam. From that time, I didn't touch maths. Today, I'm very good at understanding matrices. Today, I'm very good at understanding calculus, because at the time, I don't have that maturity levels to understand those logic things. Today, when I'm starting slowly understanding things, I got that logic. I mean, I'm slowly. And one thing, as an aspirant, or even in a data science, not in a data science, maybe if you are in any profession, you should have a mindset called a lifelong learner. Then when you have that kind of a mindset called lifelong learner, that's how you will definitely grow and get into heights in your career. So irrespective of data science or what other industries as well, maybe if you take any other industries, you should have a mindset called lifelong learn. The more you dig in, the more you understand, try to learn in your industry what's going on in industry. You try to keep digging things and analyzing things, understanding those things. That's how you will definitely grow heights in your career. And yeah, that's pretty much I have from my side. I mean, I just want to share this story. That's it.
Kalyan, that was a fantastic story. I could not think of a better way to wrap up what everyone has shared today. That was awesome. You covered everything from, being that overwhelmed person, wasting time, how not to waste time, how to structure your time, how to jump in and do things and learn, like Jonathan was saying, and how to be a constant learner. Like we always say, that it's really about the learning process and not necessarily about the thing, but also that you pulled in this aspect of skill sets, how important it is to focus on the skills, but that you're going to make a number of mistakes. That's part of it. You're going to fail. That's part of it. There's going to be a time when you understand the math and a time when you didn't, and that's part of it. So I would like to thank everybody so much and turn over to Tom, because I know he had some words he wanted to say. Oh, sorry, Ugo, go ahead. One more thing.
Okay, just one more thing. I just wanted to say something. I want to talk to Tom. Dad, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so this is what I want to say. I know one of my best ads growing up was Red Bull, and the reason is very simple. I liked that was it the USP they call it now, unique selling proposition. They say Red Bull gives you wings, right? But I've come to discover that actually Red Bull doesn't give you wings, or fathers give you wings. So I know I've not done this openly, but I just thought to do this right now. Dad, if you can hear me, I want to say thank you for your fatherhood. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for giving us wings. Me personally, I've become a better version of myself in the 2 months or so that we have met. And I thank you for the time you carve out for this. I know if I were to consult with you one-on-one, I could not afford it in the whole of my career. I can't pay for it. I can't, but making yourself available at any point in time is that kind of sacrifice that only fathers are known for. And You are a father to us in every way, in every bit of the word, Father. So I want to thank you, especially. Dad, thank
when
you.
you
Thank you.
guys, I'm excited for you guys to get my age and be carrying the torch of what we're doing now. And here's why. Hugo, when you're dealing with Hugo Jr. 20, 30 years from now, you're going to go, oh, I see what Dad was saying. I have the greater honor now. And I'm growing and learning a lot from you guys. For example, Jonathan is a kick-ass student. And Gaith and I are learning tons from, we'll say a little something and he'll go off and investigate it and teach us something. And we're being blessed, Gaith and I and Manpreet. Yeah, we were the founders here of this, really, you know, to take it to the next level. I couldn't have taken it to the next level without them, but you guys are giving more to us than we're giving to you. You'll see it someday. You will, and I'm excited for you to get there. So, and Gus is already doing it, by the way. He's already feeling it because of what he's doing. And we're going to be hearing from him soon on a Saturday very soon. But while I'm talking, Magdi's doing, by the way, it's just been huge that Kimberly and Magdi joined our stewardship committee. They're helping us help you guys more. Hugo, your Python class, I'm sure is going to be awesome for the family, but we've got some really fun new family members coming soon. And I think I'd rather, what should we surprise them, Kim and Magdi and Gaith, or should we just surprise them with them?
Have you actually followed through? Is it happening?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Now,
Awesome.
the guy for next weekend's not seeming to work out, but I think I can move the other people up. It's not going to be a problem. But I think we'll just surprise y'all. Just, I don't want to say big names because to me, you guys are the big names. But they're people that we love and appreciate in the community. So encourage your friends to come and join. And they're people that are very giving. We're really excited to have them come.
Yes. And you know, the great thing too is that every time when the team is trying to pull people in, we're trying to find ways to cover all of the different aspects of data science. And so, you know, if you have any ideas or concerns, I noticed that in the text, people were saying if there's ways that we can organize the learning. I want to give credit where credit is due. I see if I can get back up to where it is. Who was saying this? There's a lot of chat. There's a lot of chat here. I don't know who said it, so I'm so sorry that I cannot, but it was one of the new members was asking if there was a way to correlate learnings. And in response to that, I have to say, please go and check out the videos, check out the prior mentor sessions and see there first if we've already covered the types of things that you're talking about for learnings, because there have been a lot of episodes so far. And it would be easier to see there. And then also, Tom, people are asking how they can get on the Slack if they're not on the existing Slack.
Oh, so myself, Gaith, Kim, Magdi, you just need to send a request to them with your email.
Yeah, the email.
All of us can add you to the Slack work group. And then we did find that the mentoring session link fell off the important links because of our Slack limit. So I quickly added it back on this morning when Val told me about that. Please, just all you need to do is send a request to me or the other stewards and we'll get you on. And I want to say more, but I just always pray for each other, reach out to each other, and understand when you don't see someone come for a while, it's probably just because that you're missing. They're just going through something. I'm refraining from sharing things I know because I don't know that I have permission to do it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, life happens. Life happens.
Yeah, if you're missing someone, reach out to them directly and let them know you're missing them. And I always say, no pressure. Just want you to know I noticed your absence and miss you. Want you to feel loved. That's all. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who's saying this stuff. And I agree. Gaith I'm glad he's my brother. I think he's my best friend on the planet. Go imagine a Catholic and a Muslim best friends. How does that happen? It happened.
Not only this, Tom. I think you have to think about it from different point of views, and this is what make this is, let's say, this is why we are human at the end. I think there is no barriers, there is no limit for any kind of, there is no limit to be human. You are able to be human always and anyway. So this is the first thing I want to tell. The second, thank you for everyone for the notes. I'm just only trying to be useful. This is, I have to highlight this. But I learned to listen today, from starting from Yogita to everyone, and have to thank you about them. Maybe I want to say it in this way. I think what is the best and what's the most important is the journey itself. It's the process itself, the learning itself, the step that you are right now. Sure, you have a target. Sure, you want to achieve this target, but enjoy this journey. Because when you reach this target, you find that the target is something normal. Okay, it's done, whatever. But when you remember how you reach, you will appreciate very much all the content, all the people, all the materials, all the process. So this is what I want to say. This is what I learned today.
Guys, that's beautiful. Thank you. And it is the journey. That is the most important thing for all of us.
I'm such a big fan of Michael Faraday. He's such a humble man. He wasn't like the elite of his day that were studying science almost as a pastime. He self-educated. He rose up. He was always very humble. But I see our group as it's almost as though we picked up the torch he wanted everyone in the public to carry in Britain at that time, and we're walking in his shoes right now. So if you have a chance to learn more about Michael Faraday, I think you'll all go, oh yeah, I get what Tom's saying. We are trying to be more like him. Okay, Kim?
I'm trying to be more like Yogita.
Good job, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's not easy to moderate, just so y'all know. And she did it. By the way, I left for about 10 to 15 minutes to take my kids to work nearby. I had no worries while I did that. So it's awesome. What do you think, Kim?